Hey guys, welcome back to the Shift RSA. As always, my name is Jean, and today we're going to be talking about something that I encounter quite often, and I'm sure you do too. This is secondhand online car adverts. We're going to be looking at some of the things that people do wrong. We're going to be looking at things that you might be doing wrong, and we'll look at the obstacles that are in between you and the buyer, or you and the seller of a car, and we're going to try and find some solutions to them. Okay, so let's look at the very first thing on this list. The first thing is going to be bad photographs. Now, I'm a firm believer that good photographs are part of a good online advert for the simple fact that good photographs are going to intrigue me, or it's going to attract the attention of the buyer right off the bat. So when we start looking for cars, you go to whichever website you prefer and you start typing in the make and model, and then the scrolling starts. Once we start scrolling and we find a car that we really like, we're going to click into it and we're going to start going through the photographs. So let's look at some of the photographs that should definitely be in an online advert. So the first pictures you're likely to find are pictures of the exterior of the car. So that's very important because there's some clues there as to whether or not I want to buy this car or not. The first thing usually would be the paint of the car, so we can see the condition of the paint. I know you need to go up close to see things like swirl marks and scratches, but at least from these pictures we can see more or less whether all the panels of the car are the same shade of the color that the car is painted in. We can see superficial accident damage. We can see that the wheels on the car are the same all around, or we can see whether they are curbed or not. And then we can also see the trim level of the car, which is also going to be very important because some people don't always specify that in the title of the advert. So at least from the outside, we can see what kind of exterior trim package the car has. The next set of photos that are very important for me in a second-hand online advert is photos of the interior. The reason I bring this up is because I tend to believe that if you really love your car, you're going to look after the inside as well. So some things I look at are the steering wheel, the armrests, both on the door and the center console, and then I look at the seat and the roof liner. The reason I look at these things is because it gives me an indication of how clean the car was kept and how tidy the owner was. Now, those things aren't super important because there can still be many other things wrong with the car, but this one is a big no-no for me just because it tells me the general attitude of the previous owner. These interior shots also should include a clear photo of the instrument cluster of the car, not only when the car is off, but also when the car is on while it's idling, because that is also going to show me all the warning lights on there that I should be aware of. Now, I know people can code those out or they can manually cover them. Don't ask me how, but I've seen it. So that's another photo that I think you should include. That's also going to give the buyer the confidence that you don't mind showing them the instrument cluster, showing the odometer reading of the car, and then, like I mentioned, showing any potential warning lights on them. So if I don't see good pictures of the interior of the car, it leads me to believe that either the seller is hiding something, or it leads me to believe that they're just not that keen on selling the car and they couldn't take the time to go take these photos, and that might usually lead to a disinterest from my side in the advert. So the third kind of photograph that I definitely expect to see in a second-hand online advert for a car is a good engine bay photograph. So this photograph is important to me because it just gives me some kind of idea of what I'm working with. So it helps me to see, or it at least gives me some clues about whether some hardware had either been added or removed or replaced at some point. And then it also helps me to see whether any kind of fluid is somewhere it's not supposed to be. So usually, obviously, the fluids stay inside the engine. Then if I see any kind of residual fluids on the side or on the bottom of the hood or the bonnet, then that gives me an indication that at some point in its life, this car had a bit of an oopsie, and I better inquire about it if I go look at the car physically in person. And then this fourth kind of photograph is usually going to be a bonus for me, and it's usually going to prompt me to further inquire about the car, and that's when they take the time to take pictures of the service history of the car, so the service book or the service diary or the service, whatever you want to call it, and then a picture of the spare keys, and then any kind of other paraphernalia that usually comes with the car. So as someone who typically shops for BMWs online, I usually look for the little toolkits that come in the boot as well, and then I like to see all the other extras. In more limited edition and special cars, typically you'll find little brochures that come with them or little adverts. Those things are a bonus for me because it shows that the owner of the car loved it enough to keep all of its little things together, and then some owners even go the extra mile and they keep a file with every single receipt for everything that's ever been done to the car. That's a huge bonus for me at least, and that should be a good indication to you that the owner did love the car enough to really take care of its admin and to keep everything together. Now that I've gone through all the kinds of photos that I expect to see in an advert, It is important to note that the photos should be crisp, they should be clear, and definitely take them during the daytime. Really park the car up somewhere, open up all the doors, take good, well-lit photos with a high-quality camera or cell phone. I mean, all cell phones really have good cameras these days, you don't have an excuse. So take good, clear photographs. Those photographs are going to give the potential buyer a good indication of what they're working with. So always take good, clear photographs of the car. It should entice the buyer to engage further with the advert, and that's always good for you because it's one step closer to selling your car. So the second thing that's very important for me in any secondhand car advert is going to be all the pieces of information I'm getting through text. The first bit of information like this is obviously the name or the title of the advert of the car. So that means the year that the car was made, the make and model, the variant or the trim level, the generation of the car, and then whether it's a facelift or a pre-facelift. These things are very important because obviously if I'm looking for a car online, I'm probably looking for something specific, so it'll help me know that this is in fact the car I've been looking for. It's going to make me click into it. Once I've clicked into it, I'm going to come across the second set of information, and that's all the details about the car. You don't have to go into too much detail, but you do have to get the basics right. These include the mileage of the car. Remember, the real mileage. It includes maybe whether the car has been in an accident yet or not. It includes the service history of the car. So either no service history, partial service history, or full service history. Don't lie about that. I don't want to find these things out for real once I come and look at the car if I could have known it now. Maybe provide a reason as to why you're selling the car. That's also very useful. Some people do tend to bend the truth in this aspect, but try and be honest. Remember, when you're selling a car, you're really selling something to someone that could potentially be a very big headache to them if you've been lying to them about certain details, and you shouldn't be putting that kind of energy out into the world. Always be honest, always be truthful, and just get these basics right. Usually when I see a good advert with good photographs and a lot of information, that might actually get me to the point of saying, listen, hold the car for me, I'm seriously interested. For me, that's usually where I want to be. I don't want to have to fish for information, because once I start fishing for information, I get the feeling you don't want to disclose everything about the car, and that might deter me from even being seriously interested in the car. So I shouldn't need to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Always be 100% honest with the information that you put on your advert. There are many laws that protect the seller of a vehicle and the buyer, but in order to make for a good, clean transaction, always be honest, especially when it comes to things like the mileage of the car, the service history. If a very informed buyer is able to pick apart your pitch, it's going to be very embarrassing for you, and they might spread the word saying this guy sells bad cars, or he lies about what he sells, and you shoot yourself in the foot that way. So always be honest. Rather be honest and transparent. Save yourself a lot of trouble and possible embarrassment, and just say what there is to say about the car. Some people might not see those things as deal breakers because they can deal with them, or they can fix them in the future, or they're willing to fix them in the future. So just be honest. So these are the main points that I thought is worth talking about. If you have any other things that you'd like to mention, definitely put it in the comments down below. Reach out to me on any of my other platforms. I'm very sociable and I do like engaging with people, so please feel free to do that. If you disagree with anything that I said, also put it in the comments. There's nothing wrong with a good, healthy debate. So until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. It always helps me out. Remember to check me out on my other platforms as well. And until next time,